To Houston Newsmakers, where my guest this week, a Rice and Baker Institute professor, political scientist Mark Jones, and Republican Gary Polland, the editor of the Texas Conservative Review. We've been talking about President Trump and the ability to get things done. He tweets a lot. We know that. And he tweeted this past week that transgenders are no longer going to be allowed in the armed forces.
Is that like an executive order?
It sounds like it, because
tweets is an executive order.
We got a lot of pushback from people on both sides of the aisle who said, wait a minute, we should have these things done beyond just a tweet. Your comments on this whole process.
I say amen.
Yeah. Well, I think this is once again the president sort of is unfiltered and does what he wants. And this is a tweet that hasn't really been backed up by any executive order or any real opinion. He just says he's talked to some generals and that's the way things are going to go. But it's not real policy. Until actual policies are written, there is no policy regarding transgender participation in the armed forces.
I heard some speculation that this was all done as a way to work out some budget deals that were going on in the House, that he was just responding to a request, hey, you know, we need some money here, so we'll see what happens with that. I know one of the things that's been very beyond tweets is the president talking about his own attorney general. Right. What were you thinking about? Either one of you?
My thought was that he was designed, actually, it was a backward thinking to build up Sessions, because if he attacked him, then his critics, and there were a lot of Democratic critics when he got confirmed, are going to come to his defense, and that's exactly what happened.
Are you alone in that thinking, or do you have a lot of other people who feel that way as well?
I shared it with you two gentlemen this morning.
I mean, I think it certainly does reflect that we have a very unorthodox president, because many presidents have disagreed with their attorney general, say Bill Clinton with Janet Reno, but they don't publicly attack them and delegitimize them. Now, maybe it's part of some broad plan designed to help Sessions, or it could also just be the ego of one person who's upset about Russia and has to blame somebody, and that blame falls on the attorney general.
Let's talk about Russia, because that's been kind of the bear in the room for this whole thing. The president clearly has had it up to here with the Russian investigation. Is it either one of your opinions that what he's doing now, all of this, has to do with Russia?
Oh, you mean changing the subject?
Changing the subject, changing the attorney general, all of those things that go into maybe changing the dynamic of what's going on with Russia.
Well, my take is that he's trying to change the subject, but you know what, his tweets, his comments that are unscripted have all made things worse. Now, I actually think Russia intervention in our election has been a fact, and it's been a fact for a long time. I think that there was assistance to Hillary Clinton. And actually, if you think about it today, Cambrell, look what Russia's got. They got American government in turmoil. We can't get anything done. I mean, the Russians won. They got what they wanted, and they were going to get that probably no matter who won, given the games they're playing. And we have the media, major media, the East and West Coasts, totally obsessing over Russia, and we're not talking about any of the things that are actually really important. And if you look at the polling, the American people have this down at number 20, number 25 in the issues of concern. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's like dog bites man. Okay, big surprise. Russians interfere, Russians spy on us. Everybody knows that. However, Trump and his comments and how they've done it, it makes it sound worse. So for the media, it's like, okay, well, now we have a new revelation. Let's go after that.
So, Dr. Jones, you study all of this stuff. Right. Is the media reacting like it should react, or is it an overreaction? What's your take on that?
Well, I think there are two things going on here. One is that I think it's clear within the media there's a dislike for President Trump that somewhat transcends the normal treatment of a president. And then there's also a tendency to go after that he utilizes the media and his ability to frame issues to get the media to talk about issues and distract from, say, the broader policy issues. But the reality is media is a business as well, and if people want to hear about Russia, that's what they're going to hear about.
Well, the goal is always to be fair as far as journalism is concerned. When you have a president that... Gary, what are you looking at?
You're fair, Cambrell.
Yeah. I mean, that's the goal of journalism.
To say that CNN says their business model is to trash Trump, essentially, because it's good for business. And look, and for Fox, they had a business model which was to go after President Obama because it was good for business. So I don't buy this anymore of unbiased. You are unbiased. But you're unbiased. And I think the station does a great job here. But
local TV does a pretty good job.
Oh, very
good. Really objective. But you go nationally, they all got an agenda. Everybody. And so to say that we have unbiased media is garbage. Most of them are Democrats, most of them are liberal. We have some that are professional, but that's another institution that over the years has deteriorated.
Also, when the president basically demonized all media, you know, with the exception of Fox and Friends.
I think he said nice things about you, Cambro.
I don't know. I've met him, but he doesn't remember it. But this whole process now going forward, we have a whole climate now where you don't know fake news or not fake news.
Well, I think that stems. The president is a populist, and if he follows the populist playbook, where you always have to have enemies. That is, a populist can't survive without having enemies, and the president has decided that one of those enemies, in addition to the Democrats, is going to be the media. And so there's not only no incentive for the president to have a rapprochement with the media. To the contrary, he thrives on having conflict with the media, and the more he can demonize the media and make it appear to be his enemy, the better off he's going to be.
There have been changes in the communications office. Scaramucci in now, and Spicer is gone.
Right.
Are we seeing that? Are we seeing in that 1 week's time, are we seeing some of that now with the president suggesting that maybe Rushmore is going to be the place he wants to be, and speaking to the Boy Scout Jamboree and in the way that he did? Those kinds of things are just more outward than what he has been in the past.
I mean, like the Boy Scout speech. I mean, I think that should not have any partisan aspects. I really don't.
Well,
I think
Boy
it should be
Scouts
about the
have
Boy
said that
Scouts.
it's not a...
And they're right. And so, but Trump goes. Scaramucci obviously is going to be much more aggressive, and that's what Trump wanted. He wants someone out there really defending him all the time, and he didn't think Spicer was doing an effective enough job. But this is a battle between the RNC, people that came in with Priebus, and the Trump loyalists. But beyond that, we're still not getting anything done. Okay, it's a lot of talk. In fact, I feel like we still haven't gotten out of the campaign.
No.
I think we're still in the campaign.
And that's a sad statement, because we're in the honeymoon. This is the time where you should be most productive. And so if you aren't productive during your first 6 months, you're probably not going to be productive during the final 18 months.
It seems like we've been in office for years, doesn't it?
It does, it does. And health care is still not being done. Dr. Jones, Gary Polland, thank you, as always, for insightful. We need another 2 hours, of course, but we don't have enough of that. So
well, thanks for having us, Cambro.
Appreciate it. It's good. You like your new digs?
I like them. They're very nice.
Got to have you back again.
Thank you.
All right.